Oh, is that better? Okay. Okay, my name is Chris Trout, and I am the public relations person. I don't know if JP would agree with you, but thank you. Okay, Pete really wants to make sure, and he wrote on my thing, that there are 2 notes. The bathrooms are downstairs and to the left. Please keep your cell phones off. Anything else, Mr. Pepperly? Okay. So I want to welcome you to which is actually our second community milestone meeting. Folks, the last 4 years have been an arduous and relentlessly challenging climb to the point where we are today, poised to proceed. We have earned and we have been granted the unanimous approval of our project by the Riverside County Planning Commission and the Riverside County Board of Supervisors.
Yes.
That was only after a very thorough review process and making sure that we were totally compliant with all existing codes and requirements. The public was invited, those were public hearings, and so some of you got to go and speak. That's wonderful. So here's what it takes to get where we are today. More than 35 of your neighbors and friends have served as board members, committee members, and advisors to the board. The hours of their service is in the tens of thousands, a relentless demonstration of commitment. And Janice will introduce them to you when that's her job today. Hundreds of people in this community have collectively given more than $400,000.
Yes.
So, applause to you for the purpose of building the Ottawa Community Center. And there's a couple people I want to call out. Then there's people in this community, like Mike Shelley of Brack Tech, who have given us in kind. Mike his firm have given us more than $22,000 of design services. Okay? Mike. He also built the sign on the site in his garage. I picked it up. I was so anxious to get it here, I got a ticket and run down. Okay. Also, he couldn't be here today because he had his family, but Whitney Sander has given us the gift of the design of our amphitheater. So hats off to Whitney. What a joy to work with, and I think we're all going to love it. We will honor all of our contributors on the donor wall to be placed in the ICC building. And at the top, I'm not going to do this well, and at the top will be Loie and Dave Butterfield, whose amazing, generous contributions will forever be remembered as the site name becomes Butterfield Commons on Strawberry Creek.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to publicly thank JP, so I can stay in his good graces, and the town crier. Our story has been told, and they have supported us throughout. And oftentimes, perilous journey of overcoming adversity, enduring unprecedented delays, right, JP? And focusing on efforts to meet the demands of public and governmental scrutiny. Folks, this has not been a walk in the park. Okay. So, on to the program, which I hope you all have one. Yes. Our part of the presentation today, come on in. We have seats up front, come. Okay, welcome. You haven't missed anything. Our part of the presentation today is planned for 35 minutes. We have a really tight schedule to bring you up to date as of today, February 4th, 2017. We will discuss the issues of recreation, CSA 36 management, town hall, construction timelines, funding sources, and fundraising plans. Okay, you ready for this? And then it'll be your turn to engage in a public conversation with us. Inside your program is a form to complete with your questions, suggestions, or comments. And we will collect them at the end of the presentation to give you time to respond to what you heard, or maybe what you didn't hear, but want to know about. We're here to respond. Okay. Before our President Janice Lyle takes the stage, we'd like to share with you the Waldorf Crawford video, another great in-kind donation that this couple does. That was our response to the Planning Commission's request for a show of community support. Here we go.
Totally awesome here. Such good players up here.
I've been here for 33 years of my life, and I love it. I love it. It is about time that we get this community center together. We have a fabulous community. We just need a wonderful place to put it all together to have everyone gather.
That's what I really love, is just being with other people who share joy and share music and share good times. And share a vision of what can be with this community center. It's really great.
I have lived here since I was 11 years old, and when I was a kid, there was nothing to do. And so this will be wonderful for all the kids and community.
I'm looking forward to that ribbon cutting ceremony. I hope it comes sooner than later.
We can make art, we'll be able to swim, we'll be able to have music all the time.
It's a community together for a purpose, with people in Iowa that love music, dance, the arts, being outdoors, and they love each other.
Out here in Iowa, you can be on the stage and dance like a child. There ain't no
Our project has been supported by countless people from the community for a very long time. So my job is to talk briefly about the history of the project and the current status of the project. So, the desire to have a community center goes back to the 1990s, and in 1999, the SJMCC, that's the San Jacinto Mountain Community Center, was officially formed as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So it had a mission in its articles of incorporation that said, quote, to build, develop, and maintain a community recreational center in the San Jacinto Mountain area of Riverside County. That's what it said in 1999. And a lot of people have been trying to make that happen ever since. And so I'd like to just recognize and ask these individuals to stand. We have a board currently of 5 people. We lost one of our members last month when Rick Barker passed away. But we have 5 board members, and if the board members of SJMCC would stand up, turn around, be recognized. All the individuals who currently act as advisors or committee members, please stand up. So many dedicated individuals have worked to try to make that mission a reality. In 2006, Robert Prefer explained the vision of a community center to Dave and Loie Butterfield, and they And it was at a time when there was a 5-acre parcel available in downtown, and there was a development plan for it, which was very dense. And so in order to avert the dense development and to secure the land for the community, the Butterfields purchased the land and subsequently donated it to SJMCC. So the nonprofit organization owns the land, that 5-acre parcel. We actually, and this is a little sidebar, but Dave Butterfield later bought the adjacent property on which he developed the brew pub, right? For the purpose, actually, of providing us an easement which allowed us to have parking and driveway in 2 locations. So we have the ability to use the easement across his adjacent property to make our development much more attractive.
Fire department loves it.
Yeah, the fire department loved it. So after the property was donated in 2008, there were many community meetings, and they were led by the then head of the Idlewild Elementary School, by Bill Lohman, lots of longtime residents who tried to understand what did the community want in a community center. At the same time, there was a feasibility study done to determine how much money could be raised in the community. And it was 2008. So 2008 and the immediate years following it were not a great time for fundraising. And so fundraising didn't go anywhere for a while. But while there was that period, a number of small projects were implemented on the site. So the exercise park course, which encouraged healthy exercise. The children's playground was built and 700 people came out to help build that. The skate park, the dog park, all of which happened to be on Idlewild Pines Camp adjacent property. Many aspects of the ideal recreation were implemented, small pieces of it, over that time period. And during that same time period, design work was going on. So the whole complex, which both Robert Prefer and Jim Marsh will be explaining in more detail in just a minute, was developed over a couple of years. We had the pro bono services of Robert Prefer as a designer. We have I think Jim Marsh donates 4 hours for every one that he's paid. He is our official architect. And as Chris mentioned, Whitney Sander has donated the design of the amphitheater. So again, there's this element of community engagement. Their design work resulted in a plan that was submitted to the county 2 years ago. You heard Chris Trout say it was an arduous process. That's exactly the word that's written down here for me to say next. We needed to get this CUP. We thought 6 months, maybe a year. We truly didn't believe it would take us 2 years to get through the county. It was long. It required 10+ reports on everything from flood to oak trees, mitigated oak tree reports, and ultimately, and I want to say this part, and costly, the part that nobody ever thinks about. We have spent more than $100,000 in reports and county fees to date. But the planning department on December the 7th approved the CUP, and the Board of Supervisors on January 17th accepted that approval and recorded it. So we now have the ability to move forward. And we have put phase 1 of our project out to bid already, and we are expecting the bids on March 1st. And our projected groundbreaking would then be around May 1st. Now, many of you know that last year, we decided for sure we were not going to build in the summer because it's a time when the property is highly used. But because of the additional year delay, we will actually start in May and just barrel through. We are helping the summer concerts in Kendalene to try to identify an alternate site for summer concerts this year, but they will return the following summer to a glorious site with a wonderful amphitheater. The children's playground will have to be closed off because of safety issues related to the development of the site, but we will do everything we can to shorten that time period. But we have to also consider the safety of anyone on the site during construction. And we are actually looking at the school as an alternative site for playground usage. Robert Prefer and Jim Marsh will explain the construction project in a lot more detail. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of status, where we are right now, has to do with the fact that SJMCC received, has entered into a contract with the County of Riverside, EDA, in order to manage what's called CSA 36. And so every parcel in Idlewild and its greater environs has a $35 parcel fee. And that goes to fund recreation and streetlights. And so it amounts to about $180,000 a year that can be used to help fund recreational activities in the district, which is CSA 36. It has been managed over the last almost 5 years by the county. There was a great deal of interest on various people's parts here in the mountain community to have locals manage that money and to ensure that the programming that happens would take advantage both of relationships locally, of ways in which people can actually donate and assist and help to get basically more bang for the buck. In CSA $36, and we were awarded that, and Pete Caparelli is going to talk about that piece. But so now what's happening is we're finally at the moment where the actual structure, no, let me go backwards. The actual site development and amphitheater can begin, and we will be managing recreation. So we're working together to devise a full recreational program, which can then be completely implemented in the new building when phase 2 is done. So, from my vantage point, I'm excited because there's concrete progress. I'm excited because the construction of phase 1, entirely funded, by the way, by a $2 million gift, which we have received and is in our bank from the Butterfields. So phase 1 is happening because all the money's in the bank. And phase 2 is now achievable. That's the big building, because we have raised $400,000 from all of you, and the county has stepped up and we're in the process of finishing the necessary paperwork for what's called a CDBG grant, which is a federal grant for community development block grant funds. And that is in the amount of $1.2 million. So That gets us much closer to the number we need for the building itself in phase 2. But it still leaves us money to raise, and I'm going to, at this point, let Jim and Robert talk about what phase 1 and phase 2 are.
When we started this project, I had brown hair. It's been a long ride. This is a graph of what Jim has had to go through with the county. This is the application, over 50 pages of paperwork just for the application, which we applied for in 2014. The corrections we got a year later are another 40 pages. The studies are over hundreds and hundreds of pages. So what I want to do is introduce Jim as the real heart behind this. Without his passion and his persistence, we wouldn't be here. This guy has been absolutely amazing dealing with the county, because it's no easy project. So, Jim.
Thanks, Robert. And Robert is definitely the force behind this whole project. He's really kind of been thinking about this since the 70s. It's always been in the back of his mind, and it's so exciting to see his dream coming to fruition here. So thank you, Robert. This is awesome. So you guys used the word arduous. In my notes, it says excruciating. But to be honest, in defense of the county, I want to give you their mission statement. To be a great place to live, to work, and to do business, to enrich the quality of life of the residents while protecting the environment. So it did take a lot of time and a lot of energy to make this happen, but the planning department is just following this mission statement. And to be honest, I want to live in a place with a mission statement like this. So even though it was excruciating at times, arduous, you know, we went through the process, and now we know it's a good project, it's good for the community, it's good for the environment, and it's enriching our lives. So that's where we're starting at. So this is just I took the chart you saw before, and I simplified it. But since we're through that point, I'm just going to go right on to phase 1, which Jan said we're starting phase 1, which is very exciting. As she mentioned, it is the amphitheater, and because we're building the amphitheater, we have to put in 140 parking spaces. So phase 1 is the amphitheater plus all the parking for the whole project. And how many people are familiar with the site here? I assume most of you are. Or else you probably wouldn't be here. So here's Highway 243 at the top. And most of you know the playground is right in the middle. And the amphitheater is down here at the bottom. It's down in the low portion of the property. And Robert walked the property early on when he was walking with the Butterfields. And it's just a perfect natural amphitheater, a nice bowl. And it's also sited just right. So the back of the amphitheater faces the properties across Strawberry Creek. There's residences across the bottom here. So the amphitheater projects the opposite direction. And let's go to what it's going to look like. As Janice mentioned, Whitney Sander, who designed the Loman Concert Hall at Idlewild Arts, offered to do this, the amphitheater for us, and we, of course, jumped on that opportunity, and he designed this amphitheater for us. As you can see, maybe you can't see very clearly, Barnaby Finch is playing the keyboards. And I think that's Paul Carmen on the bass, and it may be Sandy Castleberry on the guitar, I can't quite tell. But he's designed it in a way, he's got these sound panels inside here that project the sound perfectly. So this is going to be a first-class sound place, and it'll be a great place to hear concerts. And behind the stage is a backstage area. It's a dressing room, and has a couple restrooms. We can store some props, and so it'll be a really great first-class facility. And also, mostly it's going to be used for the summer concerts at the beginning, but it has a lot of other potential uses. It could be Shakespeare in the mountains. It can be a lot of different potential things over the years. So phase one again is the amphitheater and all the parking. And just to give you a quick, Janice pretty much told us what's going on, but we have put it out to bid to several contractors, and the bids are due March 1st, and we're hoping to start construction in May. And that'll give us a month or two to look over the bids and pick a contractor. And also, we need 2 separate building permits. One is for the amphitheater for a building permit, and the other is for a grading permit for all the parking lot. And both of those permits are in the process in the county right now, and we're planning on having those out by May 1st so we can start construction. So that is phase one of the project. And I just want to briefly talk about phase two. Because things are going so well that 2017 is the year of phase one, 2018 is going to be the year of phase two, which is the main building. And that is right in the center. There are 3 parts to this building. The center building is phase 2. The building right here is a gymnasium multi-purpose space. That's phase 3. And on the other side, next to the playground, is an indoor pool. So real quick, I just want to describe phase 2 because it is coming up soon. This is what it'll look like when you come in from the main entrance off of Ridgeview. You drive in and you'd be looking right at this. And this is the rear view of it to show you that on the front side, it's 1 story, but as it slopes down the hill on the back, it's 2 stories. So I'm going to just briefly show you what's inside the building. Come in the front door. Oops. Okay, so you walk in the upper level. Right here, you come in the front doors. There's a little reception area off to the left, and there's a large gallery space. And that can have art shows, quilt shows, maybe kids from the Idlewild School can display art there, but it's got lots of different potential uses. Then there's an office for the manager, some restrooms, and then there's a large activity room, and we're gonna have a movable wall, so you can divide it in half. Just like this room, we could divide it in half and maybe have a quilting class and a yoga class going on at the same time. So it's very flexible space. And then out the back is a large deck, and you can even go out to the back of the deck and look and watch concerts. It'll be looking down onto the amphitheater, so it'll be a great spot to watch the concerts from. And it also can be used for weddings and bar mitzvahs. The downstairs is, as Sarah said, when she was a kid, there wasn't much to do. So we're going to try to provide a youth center, teen center downstairs. And we don't know exactly how that's going to work out yet. There'll be committees, and we're going to even include the kids on the committees as to what should happen in that space. But we want to provide a space, a safe and fun place for the youth of Idlewild. So that's a big part of this whole project. That's one of the Butterfield's passions for this project also. Also, there's a full commercial kitchen downstairs, and so we can use it for the Lions Club pancake breakfast. There's a serving counter to serve to the outside terrace. Also, weddings can be rented out for different kinds of occasions. And there's some more restrooms down here, and those doors will go through to the future pool, so these restrooms will be able to be used by the pool. And that's phase 2. Just real briefly, phase 3 again is the gymnasium, and phase 4 is the pool. And those will be coming up when the funds arrive to make that happen. And that's all I have for now, but if you guys have questions after we're done giving our presentation, feel free to ask questions on any of this information you saw. Thank you.
The excitement continues. This has been a long journey, as has been pointed out. Many years, I got to tell you. I was around in the 70s. He and I talked about this in the late 80s, and it's been a long journey. So to see this to come to fruition, it's very, very exciting. I never thought of having my lifetime. Robert said, around here, I used to have hair. So,
when was that?
40s. So pretty fast. As Jenna said, we were one of several applicants. Can you hear me without this? Okay. We were one of several applicants to apply to take over the recreation program, the funds that were generated by CSA 36. As you're probably aware, the county, the ICRC ran this thing for a number of years, and then there was kind of a little problem with the county. The county eventually forced ICRC out, and the county ran the facility. They weren't particularly happy about doing that, and they eventually turned it over to Parks and Rec. I think we ran it for a couple of years. And Parks and Rec said, we really don't want it. So it's kind of made a 360 to come back to us to have local control. You know, it's if you've got a problem, you can come to any of our members here. So as an advisor to the SJMCC, which I am, Janice asked me if I would chair the committee that would oversee the recreation aspect of it. So as part of my committee, Barry Wallace and Chris Singer, who's recently married, is now Chris Perrault, for those of you, Chris Perrault. Newlywed. And our person of the year last year, Wendy Reed. So we have 4 people that have extensive connections to the community, longevity here. So the programs that are currently going on will continue on, and up until the end of our fiscal year in June, end of June. But during that period of time, we will continually be evaluating the programs. We would welcome community support. You can either stop by, talk to Bob. Bob will be saying a few words. Bob Lewis is our Idlewild Recreation Programs Director. If you see any of our committee people on the street and you have suggestions, complaints, compliments, please feel free. We want to be very, very transparent here, and we want this to work for the community and hopefully enhance the programs that we have and add new programs. As Janice said, we were officially given the permission to take the CSA program over, but unfortunately, it didn't happen until January 3rd. Well, you know, there's when you transition from one entity to the other, especially with the governmental entity, it wasn't easy. I mean, as far as the payroll, I mean, how do you set up accounts for supplies? I mean, just a whole litany of things that had to be done. So we're working through that. As far as the programs, we have a fixed budget that can be allocated to the programs, and there's a sheet in the back that when you go out, will show you the programs that are currently in place now. They could probably not all happen if it wasn't for some of the volunteers that make these programs work. The sports leaders, sometimes the referees are volunteers. So that's part of why these things happen to work. People are going to ask about town hall. Right now, we're in negotiations that look very favorable. We should have a resolution within 60 days as far as town hall and what we'll be able to do with it. But right now, we seem to be on track to be able to keep town hall, at least for the foreseeable, with the end game being that once the community center is built and the program. And that's what people don't understand. Town hall is not the recreation event, it's a recreation venue, but it's not the program. The CSA recreation program is a program. It can be moved, it can be run out of my garage or, you know, the office across the street. So it's a program. So the program will move from here over to the new building. And we'll see what happens down the line with Town Hall. Hopefully it somehow can be incorporated into our recreation program. We don't have control over that at this point in time. So, without further ado, I will turn this over to Bob Lewis, who is our Idlewild Recreation Program. And
thank you, Pete.
I'm Bob Lewis. I'm the Idlewild Recreation Program Director. And these are exciting times. You know, I've been the director off and on for quite a while now. And, you know, as you guys know, like Pete said, we kind of come full circle on this whole thing of being locally managed in the county, and now we're back to where we were 5-6 years ago, which is kind of a crazy ride, kind of a crazy journey, but we're back. And so, me personally, I'm very excited to be working for ICC, especially when I see the community center, and I've got a huge smile. I'm like, oh God, this is just fantastic. It's finally, it's coming around. So, and also, I know most of the other board members already from ICRC and stuff like that, and so I'm just looking forward to kind of teaming up with them with new ideas, and of course improving the existing programs that we have right now. But now, with my responsibilities here, I'm going to have added responsibilities, which is the dog park, the skate park, and hopefully soon will be the pickleball. So they're pretty self-sufficient as it is already, but I will be responsible for those as well. When I was the director 5-6 years ago, we had team dances, we had senior stuff going on here. My goal is to have some kind of subcommittees and partner with them, with the teams and the seniors, and get stuff going on in Town Hall again. Get some dances, maybe movies at a potluck, maybe get bingo going, maybe ping pong, just stuff like that. Just so then, because as you know, we have an after school program for the kids, and we have a lot of stuff for sports and for the adults, but we don't have much really for the seniors and teens. So my goal, again, please, after this meeting, come see me and see about getting together and getting these subcommittees going, because that's my goal again. Since ICC has taken over, for some reason, 4 or 5 people have been coming up to me asking me about if the after-school program and the kindergarten program is going to be shutting down. I have no idea where these rumors came from, stuff like that. But like Pete said, until June, it's going to be status quo. We're not going to make any immediate decisions. We're not going to do anything at this time. It's going to be as is. So those rumors are total false. We're not going to do anything. Like Pete said, in June and July, we're going to evaluate the programs, see if they're sustainable. They have to be sustainable. And so we will work that out. We might have to increase the fees a little more to make it sustainable. That's fine. That's going to be my goal. My goal is to make things sustainable, not to drop programs. I don't want to drop any programs if all possible. Like Pete said, there's a stack of papers, and that's actually from my from just a CSA 36 meeting. So there's a stack there. So if you want to know kind of what's going on right now with jazzercise, we have judo here, stuff like that, pick one up and look at it and take it home, please. Okay? And I think that's it. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so I like the microphone. My next phase has to talk about some financial update. So here it is. This is a financial update for SJMCC as of January 31st, 2017, so just 4 days ago, right? In our savings and checking accounts, we have a balance of $2,061,464. So that provides us the ability to do phase one. Our fixed assets. All right, so on our balance sheet, we have fixed assets. That refers to the land that we currently own. The land is, now I'm going to round things, I'm not going to tell you every dollar, is $1.57 million. It has that value. The investments that have already been made in the building project account for $227,000. The playground is valued at $144,000. And then there's a depreciation thing of a minus $128,000. But all in, the bottom line of the total assets of SJMCC as of January 31st is $3,925,175. So about, a little more than $2 million of it is cash, and the remainder is in the fixed assets, land, etc. So, point about the involvement of the county's staff, both at EDA, which is the Economic Development Agency, and Parks and Rec, and Chuck Washington's office. They have all been amazingly supportive of the desire to make this project actually happen. And so this $1.2 million potential grant is really being assisted by the EDA, and they have helped us to walk our way through that grant process. Additional money. So we've got $400,000 from the community set aside for phase two. We have $1.2 million from the CDBG grant. That makes $1.6 million toward a phase two cost that now looks like it's probably $2.4 million. So we've got an $800,000 fundraising challenge in front of us in the next year in order to get phase two to kick off at the end of phase one. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it by now aggressively pursuing foundations and larger scale donors, somebody with higher capacity than most of us to make some larger donations. We're engaging a grant writer to work with us on the foundation grants. And then we believe that this moment is kind of a perfect moment because we can show a great deal of success and we can convince foundations and larger scale donors that they could step up and help us finish this project. And so we are also, our board will be reviewing the business plan in the next month, and that business plan will be part of the application process for these foundation asks. So we're just at this point where finally we're building on the slog, and we're hopefully positioned to make it to the final end run. So I'm really pleased to introduce Susie and Trish, who are going to talk about this current year fundraiser, which builds on just community-wide involvement and engagement.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm Susie, and this is my buddy Trish Cooley, and she's my partner, but she said, and very loudly, I am not going to speak at that meeting. So she's standing up here with me, and she's going to correct me when I misspeak or when I forget something, because I do that. Okay. And then we have three other partners with us, and they are Sarah Oates, who's here, if you would stand up, please. And Julie Conkle. And Lorraine Cardinale, who is not here because she had to be out of town. And 5 of us are putting together a fundraiser talent show, which is titled Idlewild's Got Talent. And we need a lot of help with this. Now, and it will be presented May 12th and 13th here at Town Hall. We are trying to use as many services in our local community as possible to help us get this show on the road. In fact, we even had a student from Idlewild Arts, a local girl, Audrey Carter, made our poster. And if you see the girl with the silhouette over there, that's the poster that she designed for our event.
Susie, isn't it going to be at Buckhorn?
No.
Okay, so this is, we need to change this?
Right, it has to be changed, we haven't done that yet. Thank you. No, it's at Town Hall. And we have just changed this because Sarah Oates said, I can't stand it anymore. I've just got to say this. It should be in town, not out at Buckhorn. And so then Trish said, Simon Trish said, Suze, just really give this some thought. So I did, and they're right, and we're going to have it at Town Hall. This now Town Hall is a part of our whole thing, which it wasn't before when we made the original plan. Okay, we're doing this particular event, not only because it's a fundraiser, but because we've all seen, and I'm sure you've all seen too, how much talent is crowded into this little bitty small town and its neighbors. We have singers, dancers, painters, poets, quilters, magicians, sculptors, animal trainers and their pets, knitters, basket weavers, actors, and how much talent is still undiscovered.
And photographers.
And I should say, especially photographers, and not only for John, but for Trish, and many of you that are here. Peter Zabadi, too. Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, I got you. And JP and reporters. I'm sorry. I could go around the room, but I won't, because I have a time limit. We're doing this because we've seen how talented this town is. And we need to encourage those people who have kept their lights under bushels, and we want them to shine for us too. But we want in our talent show not only professionals, but amateurs. We want teeny little kids, we want teens, we want adults, and we want people who have been longer adults. And we're doing this in order to fund the youth room at the new Idlewild Community Center. So the proceeds from this event will go toward furnishing and having games and all the things that one would want in a youth center. So we need your help to make this a fun-filled show. We're hoping to feature as many of Idlewild's treasures as we can, as well as put together a true variety show with performers including all those people that I just mentioned. Please give us suggestions if you know of someone or a group who might be just the ticket for this community showcase. Some art will also be displayed here at Town Hall during the event. The art from the Art Alliance, from the SMARTS program, and from Idlewild Arts. Beyond that, because this is, in fact, going to be an Idlewild's Got Talent weekend, the Art Alliance will hold a separate show in a yet undisclosed area and maybe many areas where they have the painters out and the painters and sculptors out in front of the shops. If there are other groups, like the quilters, who would want to join us in this display of gems for the weekend, we'd love to have you too, so let us know. Those wishing to be a part of the show should notify us by calling the community center phone and leaving a message with their name and phone number so that we can call them and schedule their audition. The deadline for registering to audition will be February 28th. And right after that, auditions start at the very early part of March. When we say we want locals, these areas will be included. Canyon Pines, Garner Valley, Anza, Mountain Center, Idlewild, and Pine Cove. So it's all a local event. Yes?
Susie, what's the phone number for the community center?
It's on the things that we're going to pass out.
Oh, there it is.
It's Sarah.
Okay.
Is it there? No. Oh,
It's there.
Well, we have something else to pass out for Sarah and Julie. These are sheets of paper that you need to have filled out who you think might need to be bugged by one of us, or if you think that you could convince somebody because this is a benefit for the community center, youth center room, please encourage them to come up, audition. We have to make sure it's okay for the family, all that. We also have to make sure that our time is limited, because we can't have a 5-hour show. So, so there will be auditions, and they'll be in early March. We ask that people auditioning keep their performance to within roughly 5-minute period or less. Performances must be family-oriented, and we want talent and up-and-coming talent. And we wouldn't mind a little silly. We want variety. If you know someone who plays the nose flute, I'm just kidding about that one. I'm just kidding. Sarah Oates will also be contacting businesses and individuals who might like to sponsor the event. Here are the details again. Audition registration must be before February 28th. Auditions are March 1 through 11. Performances will be at Town Hall on May 12th and 13th, starting at 6:30. Tickets will be $30 pre-sale and $35 at the door, with a $5 student and child discount. Tickets will be sold at the pharmacy, online, at the post office on certain days, and at the Art Alliance event that same weekend. So we've got the handouts. I've shown you the poster. Trish, what did I forget?
Didn't she do a great job?
Yeah.
We've got a question there.
Susie, is that going to be an indoor thing or an outdoor thing?
It's an indoor. Indoor. But it could be that art, if the weather's good, that some of the art could be around outside. I mean, there are all sorts of possibilities.
So if you have filled out a question, could you just pass them all to the right, and I'll ask my friends here to pick them up. And if your question hasn't been answered, then we will answer them in the order. We allow 2 minutes for conversation. Okay, what's the first?
First one is not a question, it's a project looks fantastic. Thanks for all your hard work.
Well, thank you, Jerry and King. Thank you very much.
Concerns about lighting and noise and how this will affect the property owners on the other side of Strawberry Creek.
That was handled at the planning commission. Who wants to talk about that?
We had to do an acoustical study for this project to guarantee that we were not exceeding the sound levels allowed to cross the property line of Strawberry Creek. Strawberry Creek is the south property line across the bottom there. And if you saw a visual, they did a computer-generated the people that did the acoustical study did a computer-generated graphic, and it showed most of the noise goes up towards the highway and towards the buildings, and very little of it reflects back. But there will be some that goes back across, but it does not exceed the county standard. So we were within what we were supposed to do. But also, we're looking into what planting, we can plant some kind of trees across Strawberry Creek that will diffuse both the sound and the visual impact. Even though we're keeping the natural look of the lower portion of the property, some of the residents did want to see it, so we're looking at planting that will both screen it visually and acoustically. How often will the amphitheater going to be rented out? At this point, I don't know if that's my question, but I don't think we know. I talked to somebody in Rancho Cucamonga. They rent theirs out 250 days a year and bring in a lot of income. I don't know. I have no idea. That's not Iwats, right? You know, I don't see that as Iwats. But maybe some weekends for weddings, but to be honest, I don't know.
Marcia Lytle is in charge of the leasing of the site, and she's tough. She'll make sure. She's tough. Yes, want to answer the third one?
Okay, and the time curfew.
Yeah.
The time curfew for noise in Riverside County is 10 p.m., so nothing can happen after 10 p.m. For the concerts on this property.
Jim, you missed lighting on that other question. What kind of lighting will be around the amphitheater?
Oh, lighting. We also had to do a photometric study for this property. And again, the same thing, all the lights in the parking lot have hoods. It shines down, it doesn't shine onto the neighbor's property. We also had Mount Palomar within 50 miles, so we're not allowed to shine up anyway because of that. So the lighting, I think we've taken care of pretty well. So thank you for that question too.
You or me, Robin? Go ahead. Is this the one? No, that was that. Okay, what kind of seats will be in the amphitheater?
Grass.
Grass, exactly. And Melbourne, I will learn, the amphitheater. You can bring your own camp chairs. It'll be grass, but it'll be beautifully done. Okay. Dimensions of the large rooms in phase 2. We do have more detailed plans, and I think they're on the website. Yeah, they're on our website, and you can see the dimensions there. If that isn't satisfactory, email me info@iwacommunitycenter.org, and I'll give you the dimensions. Wow.
How will noise impact houses beyond Ridgeview? I think
We just answered that.
No, you didn't actually. You answered the other side. I'm looking at beyond.
Oh, this is your question, Jeffrey.
My question.
Oh, goodness. Well, we better answer this.
Isn't the idea that it's less than the current?
It's less than the current summer
Up level
Yeah.
is more projected into town than this will be.
True, it would be way less than the current, and if you saw the graphic of this acoustical study, almost no noise actually gets across the highway or across Ridgeview, because it's down in the valley.
Okay. All right, Ron. Mike, hey.
How do Pine Cove residents fit into the recreation, and will there be membership levels for residents?
Mr. Caparelli?
You know, a number of years ago, back in 1999, there was a Measure F that we tried to get people out. Marge was part of that, and a number of other people supported it. And we lost because of a little local group that was opposed to it. We lost by, I think it was like 20 votes. It was ridiculous. And what that would have done, it would have done an overlay. CSA 36 takes in Idlewild and Fern Valley. That's pretty much CSA 36. What this vote would have done, it would have done an overlay of that. It was going to be CSA 153. And it was going to incorporate bringing Pine Cove into the mix with us. But unfortunately, it went down. And my hope is, this is my own personal opinion, that I'm hoping that once these projects get in place, that we can go back to the ballot and ask the people of Pine Cove to join us. Because we're one mountain up here. This is not us and them type thing.
Pete, when this all began, the one thing that we had asked about was Pine Cove, and we were assured that we would not be excluded from the recreation or whatever was going on at the ICC.
Well, you're not excluded. I mean, you do, but the thing is, the Idlewild people, they pay $35.
I understand that. That's why I asked about memberships.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure how that's going to work out at this point, but we'd love to have it just go back to the voters, and you guys come in and pay $35 and, you know, go on.
But we could do that without a vote.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it may be that in the short term, your idea of a membership thing or a slightly different price point between members of CSA 36 and outside of CSA 36 might be a way. If you're going to attend a program, potentially it costs $15 if you're in CSA 36, but maybe it costs $20 if you're outside. There may have to be some recognition of that, but in no way does it impact your ability to participate in whatever's happening at ICC. But there may, as we work through the business plan, there is, you know, some people are contributing their tax dollars, and so we have to acknowledge that piece.
You know, maybe you could be part of a little group that talks about how we can resolve that. We want to bring you guys into the mix here, Marge. Sorry.
She needs the mic.
Marge, she can't hear you.
When this started, CSA was not the important backing of this. This was
No,
all
that's-
communities. ANSA, Garner, we're supposed to spread everywhere. So I think this is why the question was raised, because we're not part of CSA. Most of us participate in our business or own also. It was really a complex issue of saying you can, you can't. So I think that's something that has to be dealt with and discussed before this gets too separate.
Okay.
Because it's very important, because a lot of people have gotten a lot from our community. We are not separate. We're one zip code. And that was not the issue when it started. There was no CSA connected as you are now. So I think we really need to get a good face on the whole thing so that we're all comfortable.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Marilyn Campbell, I'm going to ask you to just, we can't like read this, would you like to tap? Y'all know Marilyn?
Oh, yeah, we love Maryland.
We love Marilyn.
We talked about this in November, so I'm sure you have a well-thought-out answer. The Fairway removed a heavy chain and installed a heavy bar to prevent access to the creek. What is the plan to prevent the ICC road down to the creek, across the Brew Pub area, up to Village Park Lane, and over Riverview Drive from becoming a raceway? What will prevent people from driving down to camp along the creek, and what will prevent people from making a right and trying to exit off onto Pinedale Road?
So here's what I'd say. First of all, we have to actually oversee this project and its site and what goes on there. That means we probably need more maintenance on a regular basis. We need security on a regular basis. And we will, Marilyn, we agree with you that there should be no access, vehicular access, beyond the driveway that is part of our plan. And so we will institute, whether it's a different kind of gate system or whatever, we cannot stop people from walking along the creek. That is, it's an open public trail. But vehicular access is a totally different issue. And we will definitely come up with a way that physically prohibits that. And, but we will also need people, security and maintenance on site on a very regular basis.
Okay, Marilyn?
I live adjacent to, wouldn't it be wise to allow the pickleball courts to remain as a buffer to the playground area? You would lose 6 or so parking spaces out of 146, but allow an active recreation area to remain in place.
I would hope, did Barry escape? Oh, Barry, do you want to respond?
Well, I think it's a
Well, I think-
company.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's me.
That wasn't by choice.
If it was only 6 or so, that would be great, but probably be more like 20, 25 spaces that we lose. We want a minimum of 3 pickleball courts, right? And
Which is what we have right now.
You probably have just 2 stories.
yeah, so
We have 3 right
we
now.
have 3 right now. So, yeah, if there was only 6 parking spaces, we would try to make it work, but it's not 6. It's probably 20, 25 parking spaces.
In front of that area?
It's just it's a turnaround too, Marilyn. You can see that. Where are you talking about, Marilyn? Point on
It's in
that.
front of the playground.
This is where the pickleball court is now. I'm saying leave that paved
The
area.
pickleball court's right here. It's a much bigger area than you think it is. That's just a little 15-foot strip. The pickleball's right here.
Ah.
That's where the tennis court is. It's pretty big.
But my point would be the same, that I think would only cost you 6 parking
Well,
spaces.
if that was true, that would be great. It really would be 20, plus we have to drive through it to get to the other parking spaces. Another thought is put the pickleball courts here, but there's 20, 25 parking spaces, and it would take up almost this whole area to do so.
And Jim, can we point out, if you notice on this map, there's a red border to a section of land. We own the parcel inside the red dots. The green that's next to Highway 243, we actually don't own that. And so there's a sense, it's
100 feet
back
from the street.
from the street, the highway. And in one sense, that's good because we didn't have to deal with a ton of state requirements in order to get this project happening. But there is a very limited space that is ours, that is up there in flat, that we can develop actually. And because of the requirements of the fire department to have the turnaround and all of that, we couldn't do that. But Barry Wallace, our pickleball guy, is in a series of negotiations right now. We will find a way to serve pickleball in this community. It just may not be right there.
Okay. Oh, wait, finally, I live adjacent to the ICC Creek property. Who do we call if we see campers, illegal activity, or vandalism along the creek?
The ranger station.
For sure.
Sheriff and the ranger. They help us already. If we see squatters or overnight guests that are not welcome, we do call, and also a Roland Perales, or you can call the Ottawa Community Center number. Okay? That helps. Okay, Anna, are you still here?
No.
Anna left. Anna wanted to know, but this is maybe some of the others do too. In choosing your contractors for phase 1 and 2, will consideration be given to hiring locally?
Absolutely. Our first choice, of course, is to keep the job local, but to be financially responsible. We are getting a couple of bids from off the hill, but absolutely, we have a couple of local contractors bidding on it. So, yeah, that is, of course, our first choice.
Oh, I love this one. Is this Doug Austin? Of course. What is the size of the dance floor in front of the amphitheater? Have you seen him dance? He wants the whole space. I've also worked with Marcia Kennedy on this to make sure that there's a lot of space there for her group. So yes, there will be sufficient.
We need a minimum of 60 by 90.
Yeah, right.
6-inch thick concrete.
Yeah, right.
I've got specs for you, Jim.
What about a snack bar? You asked, what about a snack bar? Where do you thinking that would be placed?
How about the tea center or the?
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a full kitchen, and then upstairs there's a little half kitchen in the activities room. Yes, it's planned for.
Reason I said that I've been volunteer town hall 9 years. I've been fundraising to the snack bar school.
Oh.
I mean, every 3 months our customary fundraising $1,400-$1,500.
Oh, good.
It's a fundraiser.
I know. Well, thank you for the suggestion, but we have talked about it. We will now contact him. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't do that.
Will the summer concert series be held at the amphitheater, and is there room for dancing?
Of course, yes. Okay? Thank you.
Round of applause.
Did you bring your whole crew down?
My mom and uncle are back
Okay, so we answered that one.
Where's the water coming from the pools? How is it that the town doesn't have enough for development when we do for a pool? Maybe it's possible, but I am puzzled.
That's Anna's question, and she's not here. And the pool, of course, is in phase 4. Do you notice how gray her hair is? You know, the library, that one of Adele Gold used to say, I want that library built before I leave this earth. I want the pool built for you too.
Also, the water issue is the fact that in each stage that we go through, we have to get a as-built or a Wilson letter from the water district, so we won't be able to go if there's no water available. That will not happen.
Can I interrupt just one thing? That because people are leaving and I want to make sure that they know that the number for the school ends in 4, 5, 6, right in order. So change that on those sheets if you have. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, is everybody, are you with us?
Yeah.
Are you with us?
Yeah.
Are you excited? Yeah. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thanks for even coming here and showing us your, what?
I have a comment. We need a standing ovation for the nobility that sits and stands before us. Thank you.